Okay, now, crazy enough, not just one mechanic with portals, we have two mechanics. This one is called Legends. So this is a pretty wild one, and I know some of you are skeptical, but honestly, I am really excited about Legends, and I'm going to explain why. So before the game even starts, you'll see now you have a Legends menu button, and when you open it up, it will show you a menu with 15 Legends. And before the game starts, you will pick one. So for example, you might pick Caitlyn or Ezreal. And when you go into game, that's going to affect the augments that you see for the rest of the game. So, for example, if you choose Urf is all about getting extra emblems. And so on 2-1, if it's a silver game, you'll see branching out, gain a random emblem and a Reforger. If it's gold, you'll get Ancient Archives that you're all familiar with. And if it's prismatic, you'll get Ancient Archives too. And so you can see here on 2-1, we were given Ancient Archives, Caretaker Supplies, and all that shimmers. Now, the idea with these 2-1 augments, at least, is that they're about the same power level as any other augment, but what it allows you to do is, if you've ever had those games on 2-1, where you look at all your augments and you're just like, I don't want to play any of these. This is just not the game I was looking to play. Legends allow you to pick something that you'll be happy with no matter what happens. So, for example, Ancient Archives is a personal favorite of mine. It allows me to maybe try to go for 3 Piltover early. We all know I love those econ traits. But in this case here, I see all that shimmers, and so I go, you know what? Even though I've picked Earth, I'm going to go with all that shimmers. And so that's what it allows you to do. Legends allow you to protect yourself from those really bad starts. So keep that in mind when you're picking your legend, and I'll go over what they all do. But each legend kind of lets you pick the style that really appeals to you if none of the other augments are that exciting. Now, each legend also has a choice at 3-2 and 4-2. Again, very much themed around them. For example, Earth at 3-2, you've got Tiny Grab Bag, gain a random component, 8 gold and a remover. Big Grab Bag, gain 2 random components, 12 gold and a reforger. Giant Grab Bag, gain 3 random components, 18 gold and a lesser duplicator. Now, the thing to note about the 3-2 and 4-2 augments is they are slightly weaker than normal augments, very slightly. They are meant to be something that, again, is there as sort of a safety net and predictability, but they are not in the general augment pool, so you won't see them any other time. And again, they're probably not the thing you're going to take most of the time. Part of their power is in their predictability, because if you know the augment you're going to get, you can plan around that. But it won't always be the strongest choice, so keep that in mind. You know, you can see like Big Grab Bag, for example, is 2 random components, 12 gold and a Reforger. That's around maybe a little weaker than Component Grab Bag. So keep that in mind. But again, it allows you, especially for new players, really good for new players. Maybe you say, hey, pick Earth and make sure you grab all his augments and you'll be pretty powerful. And then you can use it to teach new players how to play the game. But I imagine pros aren't going to be picking these augments that often on 3-2 and 4-2. So keep that in mind. But again, it's always nice to have that fallback in case all the other choices are terrible. So, all right. So like I said, there are 15 to choose from. And let me give you a quick rundown on what they all do. So Aurelion Sol is about scaling to the late game, being incredibly powerful and playing awesome units. So all 3 of his 2-1 augments allow you to get extra XP and reach level 10. So if you're really going to get those level 10s, Aurelion Sol is pretty sweet. Bard is all about gaining even more power when you level up. We've been calling them sort of like quest augments, if you will. But each one basically says when you reach a certain level, gain a bonus. So for example, his silver is when you reach level 6, gain a 2-star tier 3 unit. Or I like his radiant or his prismatic one where it says when you reach level 5, gain a radiant item. And if you hit level 9, get a second radiant item. So kind of cooler than radiant relics, but you do have to hit level 9 to get that power. So pretty neat. Caitlyn is all about board power really early. So if you like win streaking, Caitlyn is a great choice. 1s, 2, 3s gives you some extra units. Stars are born are sort of the new Trues 2s, except you get to choose. The first tier 1 and tier 2 unit you buy are automatically upgraded. Pretty neat. Or starter kit. This is probably one of the more wild augments that's new. But basically it'll give you a tier 4 champion, an item they can use, and a 2-star tier 1 champion that shares a trait with them. And then the next 2 stages get a tier 4, that same tier 4 champion again. So it allows you to build your board easier, but you are down a Prismatic. And so pretty interesting. I like Caitlyn for early game power. Draven is about risk-reward. If you know how to play the game well and you think you're going to crush your opponents, Draven is great, because every time you kill an enemy, there's a chance to drop loot. Obviously, the better the augment, the better the loot. But, you know, if you're going to lose streak, don't play Draven. Draven's not going to be for you. So, in a way, like, Draven's the kind of game where if you have 100 health and you're win streaking, this guy's going to go crazy. So, but again, very risky. Ezreal. Ezreal is really good if you like getting a lot of items and, you know, you want to have a lot of different combinations. And so Ezreal basically says at the start of the next X rounds, gain some components. So 2, 3, 5. So, and especially early game, remember, having extra items in the early game is very powerful. That's one of the reasons why we had to remove component grab bag from 2-1 originally. So Buried Treasures 2 ends up being pretty strong, being up 3 components compared to everybody else. So pretty neat. Again, if you like items, pretty basic. Lee Sin is about refreshing your shop for the perfect units. You could play it as a reroll comp, or you could play it as a level up comp. On a roll, whenever you start up a champion, gain a free reroll. Trade sector you all know and love. And a really cool one here is called Shopping Spree. When you level up, gain a number of free shop refreshes equal to your level. So like when you hit level 8, gain 8 free rerolls. Pretty cool. So you get a lot of rerolls and end up with a pretty strong board because of all those extra rerolls. Master Yi. This is an augment, this is a legend that if you like really good late game boards, Master Yi's for you. The augments start out pretty weak, you know, gain 5% attack speed, which that's terrible. But every round it goes up by 1. So by the end of the game, it can be as high as like 30, 40%. And that's really good for a gold augment. So if you're willing to play down in power initially, you can end up with a very strong attack speed, you know, composition there. Ornn, if you like those Ornn augments, Portable Forge is back. So get that Portable Forge on 2-1. Latent Forge, which is the equivalent of Portable Forge, it just comes later. So you have to play stage 2 down an augment, but essentially becomes a gold augment later. And then Living Forge, which you've seen before. Gain of up to 3 Ornn artifacts in a game, which is pretty neat. All right, Pengu. Pengu is really good if you want to go for like a 5th place and just be like guaranteed, but also you can do some really cool risky things with him. Pengu is about playing it safe, great for beginners. Tiny Titans at 2-1 for silver, which we know is not the best augment, but having 30 health is always nice. Metabolic Accelerator, if you want to try for a risky pilt over lost streak, is always good. And a new augment, Tiniest Titan, where your tactician is small and speedy, heals 2 health after a PvP round, and grants 2 gold per round. So you kind of get metabolic and extra gold. Pretty neat. All right, Tom Kench. I expect this one to be very popular. This is all about the gold. So AFK at silver, rich get rich at gold, and the new hedge fund, which has no interest cap at Prismatic. So if you have 140 gold, gain 14 gold interest. It's pretty wild. There's some pretty cool things. We've got our eye on hedge fund. Hedge fund might be a little too good. Twisted Fate, the gambler, but always stacks the cards in his favor, makes sure you get the exact items you are looking for. So if you compare him to Ezreal, you're going to get less items than Ezreal, but you always have the Pandora's items effect, no matter which one of these you get. And so you'll be able to make sure you get the exact items you're looking for. Pandora's Items 2, which gives you 2, and then Pandora's Box, which gives you a Radiant item, and then you can also have that Pandora's effect. So if you compare it to Radiant Relics, you don't get to pick the Radiant item because you've still got that randomness, but you gain that Pandora's items effect. So pretty neat. Urf is the one I'm going to be using quite a bit because it always helps me get pilt over. But Urf is all about emblems. We talked about him briefly. The silver is gain a random emblem and a Reforger. Really good for getting in some early direction. And then Ancient Archives and Ancient Archives 2. So, cool. Last ones, Veigar. Veigar is all about doing some big damage. If you like big damage, Veigar's great. Jeweled Lotus 1, 2, and 3. Jeweled Lotus 1 just gives it to the strongest unit. So your strongest unit now has that Jeweled Lotus effect, so pretty good. Jeweled Lotus 2, the one you're familiar with, but has been nerfed. It is not as powerful as it was before. You'll see you're gaining a little less critical strike. But Jeweled Lotus 3 is the extreme version, where all your units' abilities can crit and gain a bunch of critical strikes. So if you like Jeweled Lotus, Veigar's for you. Vladimir is a new one, kind of like Master Yi, except a little more defensive. So instead of gaining attack speed as the game goes on, you trade your little legend health for HP. So for example, if you're down to 10 HP, that means you're missing 90 health. And so 90 times 4 is 360, plus 70 means your whole team is getting 450 health with transfusion too. And so your team's going to get beefier and beefier and beefier. So pretty cool. And we know flat HP can do a lot of really powerful things. So transfusion's pretty cool. And then finally is Poro. If you're like, this legend system is not for me, I don't like choosing it, I just want the pure classic game of TFT, Poro's for you. Not my choice personally, but some people don't like legends, they don't like the pressure. So have a Poro. They're adorable. Cool. And those are legends. So like I said, pick the one that you think you're going to have the most fun with. Use it as sort of that safety net, but keep exploring the augment system. So I feel like none of these are going to be the S tier augments, but they're great fallback A and B tier augments. So cool.